So a very good morning to everyone. So today the question that we're going to discuss is that what will be the future development for the thought of economy? Well, the future development in economy and in economics are difficult to predict because no one knows what will happen. So specialists have revealed that we should be extremely wary of economic theories that predict utopia, doom, or other inevitable outcomes. So we must also resist the attempt to conclude that the wave of today necessary is the wave of tomorrow. So, for example, the dominance of Keynesian economy in the mid-20s have concluded that neoclassical ideas were permanently on the wane. However, the economy in the past 2 decades, some economists have adopted a short-run Keynesian and long-run neoclassical approach. So, a more unified and complete macroeconomic theory has been founded, and institutionalists and socialists have still their ideas are still around, and they might well dominate economics in the future. And then, in addition, in today's world, there are also some activities of economists who are dissatisfied with the current orthodoxy. For example, the neo-Austrians they reject the mathematical orientation of the discipline and the static definition of efficiency that pervades much of the mainstream thought. There are also supply-side economists who advocate the policies to reject to increase production and stimulate productivity growth, and who reject strict monetarism. They are traditional institutionalists and socialists who are trying to formalize and popularize their idea. Of course, there are still post-Keynesians who are trying to develop their models in which prices and wages are fixed through the exercise of power, as opposed to being determined freely by the marketplace. So we can see that we should not decide. We do not know which where will the economy be headed to in the future. And then, so mainstream economic theories also assume that individuals are rational utility maximizers who have good information and are pursuing their economic self-interest. This traces its roots back to classical economics with Adam Smith reference to the butcher, baker, and so on. And then these theoretical contributions are significant to the economic theory. However, there is a question at hand. Is the underlying premise of rational economic behavior valid? So, research from the growing field of behavioral economics has challenged the idea that individuals accurately process information and the assertion that any errors in processing tend to cancel out. So, when faced with complex decision and uncertainty, people might employ rules of thumb in decision making rather than incurring the cost of gathering better information. These are usually are based on people's inability to accurately assess probabilities, which might turn into improperly estimated costs, benefits, and then thus irrational decision. So, and then there, does prospect theory contradict the economist principle of rational economic behavior? Well, in my opinion, I don't think so. However, it does challenge the idea that the often used citation for assessing economic behavior might not be the correct one. So there are also many instances of seemingly irrational behavior due to mental or emotional defect of the decision maker. So if the assumption of rational behavior is invalid, thus in average, some people sometimes might violate the rational behavior assumption of mainstream economic theory. It does not matter as long as people act as if they are maximizing their utility, and the model based on the assumption generates valid prediction about their behavior according to Friedman. If the model builds on the rationality assumption remain the most accurate prediction of economic outcomes, Friedman would defend their continued use. And then next, we have the traditional institutionalism, which has been associated with Veblen, Mitchell, and Gabriel, which are generally critical of neoclassical economics and supportive of government intervention. In contrast, new institution tends to be theoretical, market-oriented, and anti-interventionalist. So, from here we can see that Douglas North, who is one of the pioneers for new institutionalism, he criticized neoclassical economy for its failure to recognize the importance of institutional constraint in economic decision making and its inability to explain the permanence of diverse economic institutions through the world. However, North embraced the neoclassical choice theory approach, which emphasizes rational economic decision making. Institutions come into being because they minimize human interaction costs. However, wealthy nations essentially are wealthy because their institutional constraints define a set of payoffs to political and economic activity that encourages education and skill acquisition, capital expansion, new technology, and thus economic growth. And then, so what exactly will be the future for the economics? Well, so in the past, trade barriers had to come down to make everyone better off. There was little need to worry about monopoly power. Markets were contestable and the problem would be taken care by itself. However, that is not in the case in today's world. The view is changing. Inequality has burst into the economic scene. So, professions have ignored this question along. However, the question has become bigger and bigger. Economists used to pretty much ignore the financial sector. However, our modern financial system couldn't crash like those did when it happened in the Great Depression. There was no need to include it in your macro models. And then, in addition, there are also other changes. So, economists now question whether market rewards labor according to changes in productivity. Why is it that wages have stagnated even as worker productivity have gone up? In the past, an argument has been made that the best way to help everyone is to cut taxes from the wealthy, and all the great things they would do with the extra money and the incentive that tax cuts bring down would trickle down and help the working class. That did not happen, however. And then, so another example of change is the fiscal policy. In the past 20 years ago, most of the focus was on the monetary policy. Fiscal policy would only be needed in a severe recession, and that wouldn't happen in our economy, modern economy. However, that has changed. It is now an integral component of many modern models, and those models do not tell us that fiscal policy is ineffective. The opposite, it works quite well in deep recessions. Monetary policy has also been changed. In the past, the Taylor rule was paid for the great moderation. However, now we can wonder that maybe other policies might serve as a better guidepost. We might ask about unconventional policy and all sorts of questions that were imagined not so long ago. We worry about the regulation of financial sector and how to do it correctly. The questions that economists have been asking have gone through a considerable evolution since the onset of the recession, and when the question changes, new models and tools are developed to answer them. The models do not come first. Models aren't built in search of questions. Models are built to answer questions, and the fact that we are asking new and better questions is a sign of further change. So, in my opinion, policies will keep on changing to suit the need of today's changes in today's modern world. So what I mentioned just now, models will be built to adapt to the economic situation of the world. And that's all for today. Thank you very much.